that's why I noticed he was talking so much, and then he started talking, and then went off on a tangent. And then he was trying to control the narrative, but it didn't work in his favor. It actually made him look like someone that was on the defense. He was defending all just constantly on the defense. But you know what? It's hard for him to go on the offense because every time he said something about her, there's more bad stuff about him and stuff that he's done. And then he tried to talk about how he had a good record, he did this, he did that, and inflation and this and blah, blah, blah. Which was not true. And
that's great. So, and ABC had no control, Ricardo. Yeah. ABC had no control for the first part. There are many instances, and I said that because they would ask her a question, he gets to respond. Okay? Then she doesn't say anything. They ask him a question. She responds to the response, or they allow him to respond. Then every time she responds, he has to respond.
Renaldo, I noticed that,
and they allow him to and only 2 times she ever did that. When she realized, okay, she responded after he had responded to something she had said. She said, okay, that's it. I'm tired of saying to you, as it relates to fracking, this is my position on fracking. And he keeps colonizing her.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And she said to her, and one time she responded to what he had said after he had responded to her. Finally she responded, and she started to respond, and they were trying to shut her up. And this time she's like, put her hand up and like, excuse me, put her foot down. He gets to respond out of turn. Every time.
Renaldo,
every time.
He was trying to control the narrative.
I have been very disciplined in not doing so. That's it. And he's been attacking my record and saying stuff and I'm right here saying what I don't believe. So let me put it, and she stepped in. I was happy for that because I actually said that to Dante during the debate, saying why.
I saw that. I said it to Paul.
They're giving him a lot of airtime.
Renaldo, everybody said that he spoke for 45 minutes or 43 or 48 minutes, and she spoke for 38.
Precisely. If you compare, because the moderators were not controlling him and could not. Renaldo, they keep allowing, and then when they ask him a question, he deliberately don't answer the question, and then they ask him the question again.
And then he kept on changing topics, going off topic.
And then changing and going off topic, and I say to myself,
and then leading the moderators to lead the. So can I tell you, they were talking about ABC. This Renaldo, I tweeted
it was awful. ABC, they did not do a good job. They could not control Donald Trump. They allowed him to talk and talk and talk and talk. They allowed him to respond after he talks, responds to a question, and Kamala Harris gets to respond. He responds all the time. He has to have the last word, but yet still he was there saying, oh, he didn't like the format. And can I tell you, he didn't follow the format anyways. And that's
the thing.
It was rare moments that she responded after he responds to something that she had said. Okay, rare moments. So, but apart from that, I believe that she did exceptionally well. She held her ground. He was absolutely flustered. I love how she nipped it in the bud and said, stop telling. I keep saying something. I'm right there. And she said, oh, color. You know what? I talk about if you study colonization, or how Europe underdeveloped Africa, or if you look at African history and why African history has been hidden over the year, or African influence or African contribution to Western society, it is hidden and deliberately hidden because there are those Europeans and certain peoples have colonized the narrative. That's power. When you define power, they always redefine the thing, something that it is not. Okay, he was trying to define her. And not only that, they're trying to define, let me tell you, and the media is running with this. Oh, nobody knows her. That's not true. They are creating the narrative. Oh, nobody knows her. That is not true. They
Wait,
are
listen, I was
creating,
watching.
they are selling it, and they are creating the narrative.
Wait,
That is not
Renaldo.
true.
Renaldo, I was watching Chris Matthews, or Chris, the old guy on MSNBC last night, and he played something of Kamala Harris, and he's like, the entire news media have failed her. People keep saying
They have failed her.
Harris.
They keep talking
remember,
about
you were telling me one day. You were telling me one day, nobody see what she's doing. Renaldo, you know, she went to Africa. The people, she was doing a lot on the vice president. Nobody saw, because nobody wanted to come in, and they were telling people the reason why Kamala Harris was not going to win was because the reason why Biden was not going to win was because Kamala Harris was a poor candidate. And guess what? Because nobody wanted to follow her. That's what they were trying to say.
She went to a HBCU, a black university.
They did not know anything about her.
She identifies as black and Asian. And
Renaldo, guess what?
And you see African, and then they are using African Americans. Always, as they have done in history.
Came out on the news
and I'm saying,
called her. Somebody came out on the news and called her, and said she's unintelligent, doesn't speak English well because she's Jamaican.
Ricardo, that is what they have always done. They try to make it seem as that's what they have always done. Make it seem as if black people or people from the East or people from the global South are simpletons and dumb and don't know anything, always unintelligent.
Yeah, but hold up. How can you even say that when you voted for Donald Trump? A convicted felon, someone who's raped, groped women, stole from the people, cannot speak a word of English really well. It doesn't know how to debate, doesn't stick to the plan, doesn't even know substance, has no substance. Everything is surface level.
Well, we have talked, Ricardo, where we listen, we've talked about privilege. Remember, we talk about privilege, okay? Where certain people have certain privileges to be dumb and still have the opportunity of leading. And there are those people, certain other people who they are still intelligent, but they still class them as dumb, and they can't hold offices. I want to make a point. They say that, we don't know Donald. The allegations, we don't know her. Oh my God, we don't know her. But yet still, they are able to talk about her policy. Donald Trump was on the media. He knows her policy well and can talk about it, but yet still they don't know her. He doesn't know her. But okay, that's a contradiction. That's why I'm telling you, it's an argument from convenience. The second thing is, they try to control the narrative and talk about people as if she's not there. And let me tell you, she is saying that they don't know her and she don't have any policy, but she has a policy. And he spent the entire time talking about her policy. What is this policy? I said, well, I don't have a policy. I have concepts of a policy. He said, I have concepts of a policy. That's why we could. Okay, he said we have concepts of a policy, but people don't know her policy. I mean, I'm like, this is absolutely ridiculous. I'm telling you, he has concepts.
And then Renaldo, after the debate, ABC News are saying that they should have attacked her on policy. She didn't say anything much. Renaldo, she said she's going to give people $6,000 if you have a kid. $6,000 for child care. That's a policy. She said she's going to give small business $50,000. That's a policy, right? So when I hear people talking about her and that she doesn't listen to her speak, or they listen to anything that she's saying,
if ABC wanted them to talk policy, they would ask policy questions. They do not. They weren't asking
about. Yeah, that's correct. Hello?
Kamala Harris said, "Can we talk policy? This is my policy. Yeah. What's your policy?" He said, I don't have a policy. I have concept of a policy. There we go. Okay, so he can talk to her about policy because she has one. Because because it's imagine if he did a PhD in Kamala Harris policies and was able to talk about it. Yet the accusation is that she had none. But then when he asked her, when we asked him about policy, he said, I only have concepts.
But yeah, because he doesn't want to talk about policy. All he said, they're trash, they're awful.
Plan.
Everything is surface level. There is no substance. And because he realized that people don't care about the details. What they care about is his policy is about attacking people, calling people names, dividing people, tapping into people's fears. That's what he does. Tap into what people are scared of. Turning this country too black or too diverse, making opportunities available for everyone. A lot of people are scared of that. They don't want that. They don't care about policy. They don't care. You know,
but
she can consistently talk about love and unity and coming together and helping everyone and talking about her past and how it was important for her to be in this position because her parents had prepared her for this moment. You know, and all he talked about was nothing of work and it's just saying, you know, and then start saying how Biden hates her. You know, Biden doesn't like her, he hates her. And I was like,
I'm telling you, and then they
where did
have
that
the
come from?
audacity, as far as I'm concerned, she rattled Donald Trump. Donald Trump lost his composure when he realized she was firm. She was not rattled, and she laughed when he talked about how dogs eating whatever. I don't know where that came from. And people have the audacity to be talking about how she laughed. Yes, I would have laughed too. And they fact checked him, and he was like, "Well, I wasn't supposed to be fact checked." Yes, he has to be fact checked because he's all the last debate he was spewing lies over and over again. So yes, and people were saying, "Oh, the moderator did not fact check him." This time around, they fact checked him, and it's a problem.
Well, because they signed an agreement, he said he wasn't going to do a debate because the only way he'll agree to do this is unless they do not fact check it. What he was essentially saying is he wants to be able to lie. He wants to be able to lie so that on stage and should not be fact checked.
Because I'm gonna make a point to Americans, because to all Americans, and I'm an American, to all Americans, to let Americans know that, especially young black Americans, who promotes Donald Trump because they think that he gives out money and the economy was good. And then Donald Trump in the debate was accusing Biden and Kamala for causing inflation. Okay, crazy. I'm gonna tell Americans this. Biden and Kamala did not create the inflation problem. The inflation is a carryover of the economic policies from before. I study economics. I wrote a book about economics. All right, and I want all Americans to know that I have written books and I'm a scholar and I can talk about economics. Inflation is too much money chasing too few things. Too much money when monies were giving out during COVID and monies were in people's pocket and they weren't not much manufacturing and production was taking place, it means then that we have a lot of money floating around in the economy with very little production. Okay? So what do you think is going to happen? Anytime you have wages high or too much money in the economy, which Donald Trump, fine, let's give it to him. He gave money out to people during COVID. And of course, we had a situation. But the fact of the matter is, all the money in people's hand is going to drive up prices because there's too much demand to deal with the supply. When you have so by the time Biden became president, he's met with a production. Not only that, when Biden became president, there was a supply issue, and he had to make a plan and try to get more workers and laborers and to fix the supply line, because we were having trucks and ships and so on were working during COVID, and so a lot of it backed up a lot of orders and so on. So yes, too much money in there with no supply, with very little production, very little manufacturing happening. In fact, manufacturing was wiped out. So of course that's going to create inflation problem. So by the time we get to Biden, now Biden and Kamala have to now work to bring down the inflation. When people make policy, it takes a while for that policy to take effect. And sometimes it goes to the next presidency. Same thing with Obama, with Biden, with Obama. After George Bush was president, they are left with a recession that they have to pass laws to fix. So we must understand economic policy and narratives and how this works. So that is what I want. So if you want to accuse Biden and Kamala of causing or creating inflation, you have to first look at how it started. It started from 2017, 2018, 19, 20. When They were giving out monies to people without any work, any production, any manufacturing, very little supply. So there was no goods or in the market. Too much money chasing too few goods. Inflation. There we go.
Well, then nobody knows that. Everybody keeps saying when he was in power, we were getting money. Yeah, you were getting money because of COVID and people were working and they needed to keep the economy going. But then again, people had too much money, like you said, and they weren't making stuff. So of course, you were right. I told that to people, but they don't understand that. So when he bring up stuff like that, it makes no sense when he keeps bringing up situation like that. Because if you really dig into the economy and realize what's happening, that this definitely. For example, remember with the unemployment, people were doing getting unemployment that weren't working. First of all, so much unemployment, people didn't even work and they were still getting unemployment the moment they sneezed if they have COVID. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's just such an interesting thing to see people's thought processes, but people don't want to listen or they don't want to hear that. Some people, but most of us, like you and I, we're intelligent enough to understand how it works. And what really happened.
You know, if people study history, I don't know if people study history and know about the lumpen proletariats. The lumpen proletariats in Germany, in what was it, Eastern Germany, under Hitler. Okay, lumpen proletariats are the undesirables, the poor people, the people who society use and trick to fight their dirty wars whenever they need them. Okay. They deliberately hide wealth. They deliberately hide information and education so that they can trick people to get them to vote or to act out to behave in certain ways. The Bible said because of a lack of knowledge people perish. Do not perish by feeding yourselves to the garbage that politicians usually tell you when it's election time because they want power. Okay? Do the research for yourself. Understand economics and how it works. He talks about they talk about NAFTA. Donald Trump talk about Mexico and China and how China and Mexico are now making cars. Make a deal for them to make cars in Mexico to bring it here, and he's going to charge a tariff. Okay, let me tell Americans this. If you don't know about NAFTA, NAFTA is the North American Free Trade Agreement. Who are the people who are in NAFTA? The US, Canada, and Mexico. They have an agreement to be able to trade and to without tariffs. The three countries benefit from an agreement that allows them to trade with each other. Okay? So the US can't charge no tariff willy-nilly like that. Now, Donald Trump dismantled NAFTA and then reauthorized it because he believed that the US wasn't gaining enough from the agreement. Canada and Mexico was catching up. So they reauthorized or renegotiated the deal so that the US can stand to get the most from the NAFTA deal. But yet, the US cannot charge tariff to Mexico for bringing cars to the US because they have a bilateral or a trilateral agreement with NAFTA, the North America Free Trade Agreement. Okay, so so it's not going. When people hear that, don't eat that up too quickly. America can't just charge a tariff on Mexico like that because that's going to affect the trilateral agreement. Okay, the agreement between Mexico, Canada, and the US, or the North America Free Trade. Now, what becomes a problem, though, however, is that China is using Mexico. Okay, maybe there's an agreement between Mexico and China, and so China knows that there is an agreement between Mexico, Canada, and the US. So what? Okay, so China and Mexico now are together, and they are manufacturing cars, and the plan is to get Mexico, who is partner with China in terms of making some kind of cars who they want to bring here. So China, US, Mexico benefits from that partnership, so they can do that, but China can't just send cars to the US without being penalized or getting a tariff. Well, if Mexico brings to the US, it's cheaper than if China brings cars to the US. So what China do? They formulate a relationship with Mexico to build cars, and then the cars are going to get into the US. So Now, so how do we go around that? That is the discussion. That is the discussion we need to have. The U.S. need to have a meeting with Mexico and say, excuse me, we have a relationship between each other, but if you make a deal with China to bring cars in here, then we are going to have to renegotiate the deal, or it's breaking the deal, or we're going to have to charge 50% tariff. Since China owns 50%, so yes, we're going to charge. So the tariffs will be inflated by 50%, because while we have a relationship with Mexico, we don't have a relationship with China, and the car is manufactured between China and Mexico, so therefore we have to charge a tariff. So yes, so I believe that, so we need to have, that's the kind of discussion we need to have. Okay, so on that front, yes, I agree that we need to look at this deal, but at the same time, we can't just willy-nilly charge Mexico a tariff. Okay, just so like that.
I was watching the news this morning, and they had this financial analyst on, and they're saying the reason why also inflation occurred was because of Trump tariffs. When he put tariffs, washing machine in this country went up by $500, went from $200 to $700. That's what they were saying. So it was because of his tariffs that he's boasting about why we also had some inflation, because some of them we didn't get any protection. So because we added tariffs on some of the goods and services, what had to happen was the prices of certain things like washing machine, appliances, they skyrocketed because the protection, because he put tariffs on them.
Right, and we get and we get those things from like China.
Yeah.
Okay, and so
people are getting upset because those things are expensive. They have to understand really that the tariffs that he placed on these things skyrocket the prices. So he's talking about how pricing this. Some of the issues that they inherited was because of him. So.
Right. So you know what? This is what. So Trump, in a sense, fine. He wants to protect American business, so he put tariffs on Chinese goods that come into the country. Fine. However, the thing is, the tariffs that, therefore, if American manufacturers of washing machines and appliances and so on, so the expectation is that Americans would buy American goods, American washing machines and so on. All right. So, but obviously Americans are still buying the Chinese goods, which is higher. Okay. Or they have to rely. And however, the problem is Donald Trump policy has also affected or wiped out American manufacturing. So while he put tariffs on certain goods and services like appliances that come from China, American manufacturers, that did not translate into increased supply of products and washing machines and appliances, American appliances. In fact, what we saw happen over the last 3 or 4 years, or under Trump, was a decline in manufacturing. So by the time we get to Biden and Kamala Harris, they are left with high tariffs placed on by these. So okay, and no manufacturing already. So you can only apply a tariff on products that we have, okay, where that is competing with foreign goods. But if you put tariffs on foreign goods here and without the supply here, then Americans are still going to have to buy these goods. So then we are left with, so what needs to happen then? Fine, if you're going to apply tariffs, you have to also apply subsidies to manufacturers or incentives to get more Americans now to start making the appliances. That is the thing. But of course, Donald Trump only have concepts of a plan. Or probably we don't think about that. Yes?
Yep.
We're talking with Ricardo. We're talking with Ricardo McKenzie, a co-contributor of the Neoliberal podcast. I'm Renaldo McKenzie, and we were just having a discussion about Kamala Harris v. Trump debate. quite passionate, and you can hear my passion. And but thank you so much. If you have any comment that you would like to share, please email us at info@theneoliberal.com or the Neoliberal Round at renaldocmckenzie.com. What then?